Be Wealthy and Smart, episode 1102.
Step into a world of wealth and financial freedom without budgets, boredom, or bosses on Be Wealthy and Smart. And now, here's your host, Linda P. Jones.
Welcome to Be Wealthy and Smart. I'm Linda P. Jones, America's Wealth Mentor, empowering women and men worldwide to financial freedom. On today's show, we're going to talk about how to thrive during massive change, because that's what we've experienced in this last year and beyond. And I recently wrote an email to my general subscriber list talking about this, and I got so much positive feedback, I realized I wanted to share it with you on the podcast, because I think mindset is something that is so important. As you know, I call it step one to wealth, and yet I don't give it as much attention as I really would like to, and I think not as much as I should, to really move your wealth forward, which is always my goal with you. So what I'd like to do is share this email with you. I'd like to read it to you, and then I'm going to highlight some different pieces of it that I think are really important to removing mental blocks and moving forward, and why it's so important to have the right mindset while we're going through this very difficult economic time. There's only one thing you can really control, and that's what's in your mind. And even that is difficult for you to control because lots of other people are trying to control it. All the advertising companies on social media and on television and elsewhere, billboards, on the radio, they're all trying to control thoughts that you think. They're all trying to make an impression or change your perspective. That's why it's really important that you get a hold of your thoughts and that you're able to stay positive and focused, and that you're able to make your thoughts work for what direction you want to go, rather than the direction that someone else is trying to move you to. So let me share this with you, and then we'll talk some more. As I was checking out of the grocery store recently, the checker and I were commenting on what a crazy year it's been. I think it's on everyone's mind. People are shocked by what's transpired this year. After the entire planet being locked down due to a virus, now we have supply chain disruptions, rising inflation, interest rates skyrocketing, a stock market crash, crypto winter, real estate prices pulling back, etc. It has been a challenging and stressful year, to say the least. Many people have had to rely on their savings to get through this time, so it's been financially devastating in addition to being stressful. No matter what your financial circumstances are, people are rethinking their lifestyle, retirement, and where they want to live. Change seems to be the new normal. Thriving during times of massive change can depend on what you're focused on and how you're thinking. What can you do to support yourself and your family emotionally so you can survive and even prosper during these uncertain times? Instead of asking yourself, what did I do wrong? How did I get here? Or even worse, how could I have been so stupid to, you fill in the blank? Those questions won't move you forward and help your situation. You need to go easy on yourself. This is not the time to beat yourself up. Since all wealth begins in your mind, I recommend doing some exercises that will help your mental health and wealth. Here are 5. Number 1, decide what your top 3 financial priorities are. Number 2, create positive affirmations to support those priorities. That will strengthen you mentally. Number 3, determine an action plan to accomplish your priorities. Take small steps at first. Number 4, stay away from shows, broadcasts, songs, or news that make you feel anxious or fearful. Number 5, feed your mind with positive thoughts, books, videos, tones, music, etc. Use repetition of your positive statements to cement your goals to memory by repeating them 3 times a day. Then watch how your circumstances improve. Don't underestimate how important your mental state is with regard to money. It's something traditional finance completely ignores, but I have found is step 1 to wealth. Your financial moves will begin to flow from where you are to where you're going. You'll find yourself focusing on your goals instead of your fears. It will help strengthen the belief that you can accomplish your action plan. things will start to move, and I'm confident you will reach your goals. I'll be with you all the way. So that was the email that I sent out, and the feedback, like I said, was really amazing because people were saying they really needed a mental boost right now. That's exactly the kind of thing that they were looking for and needed to hear. So I'm going to go back through this and break down a little bit into more detail some of these things that I mentioned and why I mentioned them, because I think it can really help in this situation of trying to deal with massive change. So first of all, we've seen from a lot of studies that it doesn't matter what your income is. A lot of people have had to dip into their savings, whether expenses have risen so much more than you're used to, whether your income has gone down or your business has had problems, whatever it might be, or God forbid you got laid off. There's all kinds of things happening to people, and it's not just impacting one income level, it's impacting everyone. So we're seeing people from all different salaries, all different net worths, have to possibly dip into savings, use credit cards more. It's showing people of even six-figure income being paycheck to paycheck now. So if that's happened to you, you need to cut yourself some slack. This has been a complete change of the financial scene around you, and it's going to take a while to adapt. So if you have to do something temporarily, I think you should cut yourself some slack. You know, it's been proven that people worry about money at night and it keeps them awake at night. So if you're finding that you're not sleeping well because of a money situation, then you want to do whatever you need to do to try to secure extra money. And if that means you have to dip into savings, don't beat yourself up about it. Now, some of that awakeness at night is worry about things that might never happen. 90% of the things we worry about never do happen. So most of that fear is probably misdirected. And that's something that we're going to talk about in just a minute too. So recently I was talking to a friend, and basically she went down that road of how could I have been so stupid to, and she was telling me a litany of financial moves that she wished she hadn't done. And basically, she was beating herself up for not changing her behavior. But that's like saying you knew what was going to happen before it happened. And with all the craziness that we've been through in the last few years, who could have predicted the things that we're experiencing now? It's not that easy to foresee that interest rates were going to go up so high so fast, or that all assets would decline in value at the same time. I personally have never seen that before in my investing life. I've never seen the stock market, the bond market, the real estate market, and of course, the crypto market all go down at the same time. So next, I want to talk about why I say all wealth begins in your mind. And that's because the limitations and blocks that we have about wealth can come from fear, can come from our upbringing, can come from beliefs that we don't even realize are in our subconscious. There are things that we might not believe are possible. And I've talked about this before on the podcast. You know the phrase that the first $1 million is the hardest to make? Well, you know why that is? It's because you don't believe you can do it. You have to convince yourself that you can do it, and you don't believe it. And that's where a lot of the block is mentally, is that the first $1 million, people just have to convince themselves and see that it's possible for them. And then once that happens, then the second $1 million can come very quickly after that, because then they see what's possible. But what I often see is that the lack of belief that people can raise their income or do well investing or have a lot of money come their way, that is something that is in our belief system, that you're going to block opportunities if that's what your belief system is. So while I take you through the 5 steps, these are designed to unblock some of those belief systems that you have. First, you want to identify your top 3 financial priorities, and that will help you get focused in the right direction so that you are not sleepless at night. You're not worrying about things you can't control, but you're looking at what you can control and you have a plan. Secondly, creating the positive affirmations can change some of those limiting beliefs. It can overcome the negativity or overcome the lack of belief that your financial situation can change. Number 3, determining an action plan to accomplish your priorities and taking small steps is just something that gets you started in the right direction. Sometimes we have inertia and we can't move. We're just frozen. And taking those little steps can really help. Number 4, staying away from shows, broadcasts, songs, or news that make you feel anxious or fearful. Well, that is so important. Because, for example, television is just flooded with negativity. I don't really watch much television, but as I flip through channels, I look at what's on television. There's so much that's negative about murder, about robbery, about negative things like that. I told my VIP experience group, if I hadn't learned about what a murder is through movies, television, books, etc., I probably wouldn't even know what it was because I've not had anything in my life, thank goodness, to experience it. But I've seen it thousands and thousands of times in my lifetime, flashed in front of me on a movie or a preview or an ad or a TV show or a news program. The negativity and the focus on negative things like that and things that create fear and base emotion are what advertisers sometimes focus on. So being aware of that and protecting your mind from the negativity, from the bad news constantly coming at you is really important. That's why I recommend people don't leave the news on and fall asleep to the news at night. I think that's one of the worst things you can do because it can get into your subconscious that way when you're falling asleep. That's when your subconscious is most vulnerable at night before bed and first thing in the morning. That's why that is when it's recommended that you do your positive affirmations because they're more likely to go into your subconscious. So you want to replace watching or listening to those negative broadcasts with creating your own positive broadcast. And that's number 5. Feed your mind with positive thoughts, books, videos, tones, and music. So I have things around me that really lift me up, that make me feel happy, that are positive things that make me feel better, and also show me that when I focus on something, that thing is more likely to happen, I've noticed, than when I don't focus on it. So really giving your thoughts deliberate things to think about, I think is really important, especially in terms of wealth building. We talk about visualization and vision boards and things like that. That's all tied into our subconscious because our subconscious cannot distinguish between what's real and what's imagined. So if you want wealth in your life, imagine wealth already being in your life and allow your subconscious and your belief system to accept that. And you're more likely to then notice things in your awake life that can help you bring that into your reality, in my opinion. I've seen that work a lot for me personally. So understanding how important your mental state is with regard to money is something I think is really important. If you haven't already put that into process in your life, I really recommend that you do that. Because focusing on what you want and where you're going and giving gratitude for that is something that can help you eliminate the fear, because fear and gratitude cannot exist in your mind at the same time. To get out of fear, you want to go to a place of gratitude that will definitely shift your thoughts and feelings and subconscious beliefs all at the same time. So I just wanted to give you more of a mental update and some positive words and some things to think about and maybe put into practice if you haven't already. Besides writing about traditional finance and the stock market and new finance with cryptocurrencies, I also do write about a wealthy mindset. So if those are things that you'd like to get more familiar with, go to my website at lindapjones.com and put your name and email address in the gold pop-up box for my free report, 3 Easy Steps to Maximize Your Wealth. And after that, you'll be receiving my regular Thursday newsletter with all kinds of wealth tips. That's all for today. Until next time, live the good life and be wealthy and smart.
Thank you for listening to Be Wealthy and Smart with Linda P. Jones. Share the wealth and tell your family and friends about the show. Check out our website, blog, and social media for more riches at www.bewealthyandsmart.com.